Hello everyone! Ice Hearts Part 9 is here, slowly inching to the finale, but not everything is sunshine. So let's see how they deal with the obvious elephant in the room, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos, especially these days, because we are in slight decline. You are keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Waking up beside KyouHaba felt almost like a dream. They ended up all tangled together throughout the night, the silver hair tickling on Kyotane's neck as KyouHaba laid with his head on his chest, one leg thrown over his thigh and his arms wrapped tightly around his middle, as if he was subconsciously afraid Kyotane would leave if he let go. Unable to keep the smile off of his face, Kyotane pressed a small kiss on top of KyouHaba's head. He definitely didn't complain about their current position. It was the closest KyouHaba had been to him in the past few days. It was now the 10th day of their new sleeping over arrangement. They shared a bed every night, the only change from the first day being KyouHaba had his own clothes on. It was a tad disappointing for Kyotane since he found out quite early on he had a thing for seeing KyouHaba sleeping and walking around in his clothes, but he understood he felt better in his own things. He had to admit they clicked together surprisingly well in the new housing situation, as if they lived together for ages, which was great considering they still had no idea whether or not KyouHaba's ex knew where he lived, and if he wasn't waiting somewhere around to catch KyouHaba off guard again. Kyotane wouldn't put it past him, and if he could judge by the way KyouHaba constantly looked around when they went to his flat to pack some of his things, he wouldn't either. But they didn't have to worry about that now. He gently ran his thumb over KyouHaba's waist under the rolled-up t-shirt, enjoying the feeling of his calloused hand sliding over KyouHaba's soft skin, and the way the other tightened his arms around him at the touch. Just how could anyone spend time with KyouHaba and not cherish every moment, every second of it? He clenched his jaw, remembering the events of the previous night when KyouHaba broke down and told him about some of the hardships he endured during his last relationship, from the cheating to the obvious emotional abuse. And to say Kyotane was furious upon hearing about the way that bastard treated KyouHaba would be an understatement. He found himself wishing he was much more aggressive against him when they met in the matches in the past, or at least meet him in the match again, so he could explain to him properly he had no right to even come close to KyouHaba ever again. He was pretty sure he would be able to get Iwaizumi and Matsukawa on it too if he told them about it. Unfortunately, he recalled the guy had to retire a few years ago after some drug scandal involving him and some very young girls. That was after KyouHaba broke up with him apparently, but it still made Kyotane's blood boil. He looked at soundly sleeping KyouHaba in his arms and instinctively pulled him closer, his heart aching. Please tell me he didn't hurt you even more than with what you already told me, because I will break every bone in his body if he did. KyouHaba stirred in his sleep and furrowed his brow, murmuring something Kyotane didn't catch. It was an adorable sight, and Kyotane couldn't help but lean in and kiss the crease of his forehead. He would gladly stay like this for the whole day, but a quick look at the clock told him he unfortunately had to interrupt their comfortable time if he didn't want to come late. Which he really didn't. It had been over a month since they had to move to a different stadium, and now the cooling was finally working again, meaning they could return to their home stadium. And to make it even better, they had a match there today. A bit of a bittersweet moment since it meant he wouldn't be seeing KyouHaba at the practices anymore, but now that he literally had him in his bed, the news weren't that bad. He ran his fingers along KyouHaba's cheek, smiling when KyouHaba grumbled quietly and buried his face more into his chest. Come on, sleeping beauty, I have to get up. KyouHaba didn't move an inch. Don't wanna. I'm warm. But I will come late to practice if you keep me in bed. And... Igeru. KyouHaba muttered something under his breath, but rubbed his eyes, throwing an accusatory look at Kyotani, which he, given the state of KyouHaba's hair and the pressed-in pattern on his cheek, couldn't take seriously. You are so cruel, you know? I thought we could spend a beautiful morning together, but now you have to leave me here alone and cold. I'll put on heating for you if you are cold. KyouHaba scrunched his nose. That's not the same. The heating is not so nice to nap at as you are. Despite that, he sat up, yawning. Kyotani chuckled and tilted KyouHaba's chin to steal a quick kiss before he jumped out of the bed and headed to the bathroom to take a shower. When he came out, KyouHaba had already prepared breakfast for them, which was another reason why Kyotani enjoyed KyouHaba's presence in his flat. He was never the type to cook breakfast, or most other foods for the matter, for himself, and rather always took some quick bite or stopped by at the convenience store for some protein snack on his way to practice. But now that KyouHaba was cooking for them, repaying Kyotani for letting him stay according to his words, he realized how much he missed calm, homemade meals. It almost felt like they were living together for real, the domestic atmosphere making his heart all soft. He glanced at KyouHaba as he slowly munched on the rice and eggs, contemplating whether it was a good time to break the news to him about the match. He had invited KyouHaba to 2 of his previous matches, which were happening in the cities right next to theirs, but got rejected on both occasions. He knew KyouHaba wasn't very fond of hockey, but surely he already made it clear that not all hockey players are the same, and surely KyouHaba could survive one game for his... What even are we? As if feeling his gaze on him, KyouHaba looked up from his meal, tilting his head. Is something wrong? You haven't eaten almost anything. Are you not hungry? Kyotani shook his head. No, I was thinking. Our home stadium is functioning again, so we are having practice there from today on. Oh, but that's a good thing, isn't it? You'll have your space again and your ring. Kinda bummer we won't see each other in our stadium, but that's fine now that we are here, right? Kyotani chuckled softly and leaned over the table to cover KyouHaba's hand with his. Yeah, though I will miss seeing you in that nice sportswear you have on during practices. KyouHaba narrowed his eyes at him, huffing, but Kyotani didn't miss the light pink tint on his cheeks. He cleared his throat, becoming a bit more serious. And I'm not really going to practice. We have a match there today, so I thought you could come and watch now that it's close from here. KyouHaba stilled and pulled his hand from under Kyotani's, tension seeping from his voice when he spoke. I told you I haven't watched a single hockey game for the last 3 years, and I don't plan on changing that. Why are you still asking me? Kyotani clenched his jaw. Because I thought you could at least give it a shot. For me. I'm not asking you to come to my every game. I just want you to try and see hockey isn't just about roughing. Is it that much of a problem for you? Yes! I'm not going to watch something I hate just because of you. You said you don't hate it. What changed? Nothing. That's the thing. Nothing changed. I like you as a person, but that hockey part of you still brings memories I would rather forget, and I hate it, so stop asking me to come and watch! Kyotani clenched his fists and abruptly got up from the table, almost knocking off the vase from it. KyouHaba flinched, sending an arrow of guilt through Kyotani's chest before it was replaced by low, bubbling irritation. It seemed that he was wrong about KyouHaba being more open-minded. Apparently, he was wrong about a lot of things. Where are you going?
Stadium.
He quickly grabbed his gear bag and headed to the door, not wanting to lash out on KyouHaba, no matter how much he might deserve it. So you are just going to leave? How mature of you! Yatane stopped and turned to KyouHaba, who, despite his words, looked genuinely distressed.
I already told you hockey is my life. I'm not going to give up on it, not even because of you. If you aren't able to at least respect that, then this relationship, whatever it is right now, isn't going to work out.
KyouHaba opened and closed his mouth without any words coming out for a while, his eyes widening. Are you?
I'm out. Don't wait for me.
With that, he slammed the door behind him. He could feel Iwaizumi's and Matsukawa's eyes on him the whole time they were gearing up, but he didn't care. He knew he said what had to be said, and that it was true. If KyouHaba wasn't going to accept him as a whole person, hockey and everything, then they were bound to crash sooner or later. Unfortunately, it did happen sooner. KyouHaba held resentment to hockey. He understood that. But why couldn't he at least try and see things from his perspective too? One game was all he asked for. If he said he still didn't like it, he wouldn't pressure him. But KyouHaba didn't want to do even that little for him. He hated giving KyouHaba an ultimatum. The man went through a lot and deserved to be protected and cared for. But was it even possible to stay in a relationship with someone who hated what he dedicated his life to?
Yatane?
He raised his eyes, meeting with Iwaizumi's concerned gaze.
Are you okay? You haven't said a word since you came here.
He nodded, even though he knew Iwaizumi could read in him like in a book.
I'm fine. Just thinking.
Did something happen between you and the curling guy? I thought you said your living together setup works well. Yatane sighed, rubbing his face. He really didn't want to discuss his love life in the changing cabin, but if there was someone who could help him, or at least hear him out, it were his captains. He glanced around his other teammates and back at Iwaizumi, who nodded in understanding.
Alright guys, get out on the ice for warm-ups. Who's going to mess around will run 10 rounds around the stadium after the match. Chop chop.
There was a lot of grumbling, but after a while, the room went quiet. So, what happened?
We argued about hockey and stuff. I know he said he doesn't like hockey, but I thought he might at least try to understand it when we got together. Sort of. But he doesn't even want to give it me a chance to show him it's not that bad. And I don't know what to do. I don't want to send him away, but I don't know.
Matsukawa hummed, tapping his fingers on the bench. Did he tell you why he doesn't like hockey?
No, just that he thinks it's violent. We didn't talk about it since then. Until now.
He hid his face in his palms, muffling the frustrated shout he let out.
Why does it have to come to this? I do love him, okay? I don't want him to feel like he's less in my head than hockey, but if he can't accept the biggest part of me, then what's the point of getting more serious?
Matsukawa squeezed his shoulder. Give him time. And to yourself too. It's apparently a sensitive topic for both of you, and you will have to talk it out eventually. But right now, you are both angry and it wouldn't end well. But I'm sure he loves you as much as you love him. And he was watching some of our practices, so that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Let it be for today and talk about it in the evening. Just don't go to sleep angry at each other. That's never a good thing.
Yotani sighed, thinking about their words. He grabbed his stick and the rest of his gear, deciding to wait until after the match. That should be enough time for both of them to cool off, right? As it turned out, it wasn't that easy. Kyotani always praised his ability to split personal stuff from his in-game mind, but for some reason, he just couldn't focus on the match properly that day. He felt like a zombie. He knew he was spacing out during the coach talks. He knew the shift changes took him longer than they should have. But it all just felt wrong. He couldn't feel the usual joy when his blades hit the ice, when he skated towards the puck. Nothing made his heart speed up with excitement as it usually did. He was playing horribly, and the fact coach moved him to the fourth line after the first threat of the game was enough of a proof of that. Why did the fact that KyouHaba refused to share at least one moment of the game with him have such a huge effect on him?
No matter what you choose, you will lose one thing you love for the sake of the other.
He gritted his teeth and got ready for his shift. He noticed their opponents sped up their shifts, meaning they were now against their first line.
That's bad. Focus, damn it! This is not the time to wallow in self-pity.
After their shift got into great problems around their gate, one of his teammates managed to finally get the puck out of their defensive zone. Kyotani cursed under his breath, saying it was going to be icing if he didn't do anything about it, meaning they wouldn't help themselves at all. Kicking his legs to work, he sprinted after the puck at the highest speed he could muster, outskating the opponent right in front of the gate, when he suddenly lost balance, got a glimpse of the boards, and then everything went black. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm not yet sure how I'm going to deal with the last chapter, because it's quite long, so I'm thinking about making 2 parts out of that. I will see. I will try to finish Ice Hearts before December starts, so that we can start with Dear December/December with the clear slate. If you have any requests or ideas, the request forum is linked in the video description. See you next time.